Excuse me, I must ask you a question. How did the reporter hang himself? With the news! Good evening! It's time for cheesy introductions and stuff, yeah. Anyways, we're doing the news tonight. It's Friday! Friday!
Yay, no work tomorrow. Don't ask, it's been a week.
Don't tell.
No, we repealed that.
Yes.
Science.
So, Hungary is going to build a wall.
On the Serbian border.
Oh, we've been down this road before.
Yes, we have.
About 100 years ago. Led to a certain archduke getting assassinated, blah, blah, blah. Okay.
Yeah. That's, yeah, not a good idea. They're saying they're having a refugee immigration problem. And because of where Serbia sits on the map. Can you take a picture of that?
Yeah, I'm going to try to eventually update it as the icon for this video.
So that, yeah, they're complaining about refugees coming, and so they're going to build a wall because the refugees are going through Serbia to get to Hungary, because Hungary's north of Serbia.
From Albania.
Kosovo. Yeah.
So anyways, before we get to the current events that seem like World War III is about to fucking break out, actually it's more like World War 50, fucking 4.5 or something, I don't know, whatever.
Hi!
Yeah, squared alpha.
Imaginary number square root of, and that is the radical. We're not sleep deprived. No.
No, we're not parents.
No.
We're not children and kittens keeping us up all night. Yeah.
And bosses calling you for files every 5 minutes. And giving you projects every 10 minutes. And phones ringing every 30 seconds.
Oh yeah, gotta love the phone ring.
I do that. I make that noise. By like midday, I'm staring at the phone, screaming at it while it's ringing. At least my coworkers find it entertaining.
It's been a while for me.
Shut it.
Yeah, soon for you too. Anyways, some background on the conflict at hand, which is Ukraine. All right. There's a lot of bullshit timelines out there. There's a few very legitimate ones who don't want to be offensive towards Russia, but give you legitimate series of events from a moderately skewed perspective.
Easy for you to say.
Yeah. So, just briefly. First, there was the Maidan protest.
First, it was the Orange Revolution.
I'm just talking about like the very recent stuff. Okay. I mean, we're gonna do like a full coverage of like the sequence of events. Okay, but what led up to right now was the Maidan protest happened. Some provocateurs got involved. The police got attacked by the provocateurs. The Berkut, which are basically
Russian militia.
just yeah, they're just thugs, man.
Guerrilla.
They're an army. They're a civilian repression force. Okay, and they got released on these people, a bunch of kids, and just beat them mercilessly. And then the next day, almost 1 million people, at least I think 1.2 million people maybe, came out. And Yankovic, the president of Ukraine, corrupt bastard, Yanukovych.
Sorry, I can't help that. Nothing wrong with me.
I usually say it right. Honest, yeah. Okay.
Yankovic.
Yankovic. Is Wayne Brady gonna have to Yankovic? Anyway, Yankovic skipped the fuck town into Russia. Okay, left Kiev, left for what most people know, Ukraine altogether. Might have stopped in Crimea, but who knows? Okay, but he left. He just abandoned the government.
Let's not forget.
Effectively stepped down. There wasn't like a coup that the CIA fucking. He chickened out because he fucked up and his people rose up against him and was demanding his resignation, basically.
Russia was
just left.
Russia was running Ukraine through this man. He was a Russian puppet. And the people got sick of it and wanted him out.
You want to talk about a corrupt oligarch? That's what you need to fucking find out.
Right, you ought to look up the presidential palace that he was living in. Holy hell.
Bro.
Oh my god.
So, then, a little bit of time passed. And there's these news broadcasts in Crimea about the fascists in Kiev taking over and they're coming to slaughter all the Russian speakers. Russian propaganda is being pumped into East Ukraine and Crimea. And meanwhile, back in Kiev, they're going into Yanukovic's house, Yankovic's house, and he's got like, I don't even know how to describe the grotesqueness of his excess. You know, like the whole $15,000 umbrella stand thing? Oh, he had like 20 of them. Shit, he just more ivory sculptures, gold, everything everywhere. Like, I was looking for a baby giraffe. There had to be a miniature giraffe somewhere around there just waiting to go. Okay? I has it. All right. Seriously, go look this up. It's hilarious. People were like, it's a tourist attraction now. People from all over Europe started coming in, okay, just to see the grotesqueness of Russian corruption. Well, that's when the little green men started showing up with their local militia counterparts, okay?
No insignia on their uniforms.
Now imagine if like just some random military type fucking people with big ass guns and full body armor showed up and had some local redneck militia with a rebel flag insignia on it. And they're just like hanging out at City Hall all of a sudden. And a day later, there's 2 more of them. Then a day later, there's fucking little protests breaking out here and there. Well, that's what happened in Crimea, okay? There's these guys that just show up, they're little green men, and there's the local mafia criminals, okay? And you see reports since then, over and over again, of how the rebels were just a bunch of fucking local criminals, okay? And they acted like it. They went and stole and looted and, yeah, okay? So, yeah, these little green men showing up in Crimea. Putin's denying the whole thing is his involvement at all, even though Russian state television is That's what these people are getting told all this propaganda about. Kiev's coming to kill them all for speaking Russian, for being Russian speakers. Because they're Nazis. Yeah, they're all Nazis in Kiev, and we're all Nazis too. Obama's a Nazi. Did you know you were a Nazi? Did you know Obama's a Nazi? A black Nazi?
He's black?
Anyway, we love that guy. Yeah, okay. So, then the Russian Navy, still, Putin's just, I have nothing to do with it. Russian Navy starts scuttling vessels, blocking in the Ukrainian fleet. The Spetsnaz, the little green men, start setting up posts around all of the local police and military bases. And old crows and fake protesters combined with local disillusioned people from listening to too much Russian Fox News.
RT.
It had its own little name. I forget what it was. All right, we thought we had a crisis. This
Crisis
kitten.
averted.
This is the shitting kitten.
Mm-hmm.
Still not litter box trained. Ones we let go, I think, were all litter box trained. We just happened to keep the one that, she didn't like litter box. She'll go and shit right next to it. Okay. Anyways.
She loves you, Daddy.
So,
She loves you, Daddy.
So, off topic here. Hidden motor button.
Say hello, kitten. Hello.
Alright. Let the kitten now. Step away from the kitten.
What kitten?
Okay, alright.
Of course not. I'm your wife.
You gonna talk about Ukraine a little bit, or you gonna stare at kitten?
I was just making sure.
You got me staring at the kitten.
She's cute. Squirrel. Squirrel? Yes.
Alright. So, you remember like the sequence of events when they started with the protests around the military bases that they had?
Yeah, that was in Crimea.
Yeah. And the poor Ukrainian soldiers were just sitting there like, what the hell do we do?
You have to understand, some of these separatists were actually people who lived in Crimea. These are people who these Ukrainians fought side by side with, considered to be brothers. So when all this went down, they're wondering what the hell is going on. They weren't getting any orders from Kiev.
So, we're not Nazis. What are y'all talking about?
Right.
We're not fascists.
So, were you the Russian Navy?
Kiev just told them to stay put. Kiev couldn't tell them to do anything. What's Kiev gonna say? Yeah, those Russian troops, go ahead and shoot them.
Right.
We barely have control over our own fucking police, let alone our own military. But go ahead and just attack Russia. Okay.
You have to bear in mind, too, that with Yanukovych running back to Russia like a little Russian puppet that he was, essentially the government was in shambles. So people are trying to figure out what's going on, who's going to be in charge, how's shit supposed to actually be run, being that, you kicked out the most corrupted person in your government. But these soldiers who are out on this boat,
they had elections. The prime minister took over, and then they had elections. That's how we got Poroshenko.
Yeah, he was the interim president.
Got installed. This is a known politician out there.
So you have a group of Ukrainian Navy men on a boat in the Black Sea, right off the coast. The Russians aren't letting them move. They're on the port.
Confined to their ship.
They're confined to their ship. They couldn't leave. They were getting fired upon. They were being ordered to surrender, and God bless the commander who was in charge. He actually got taken hostage for a while. They just when he finally surrendered, they had no food, they had no water. He finally surrendered, and
they got a scuttled ship blocking their exit.
Yeah, they had Russian ships blocking their exit. So there was nothing they could do. So he finally surrenders and gets taken prisoner. And sank him.
They did this without honor in every way, plain and simple. So then you had this sham of a referendum. Okay, after people had been bussed off, protests just weren't even allowed in Crimea anymore. People were just being arrested for speaking out, kidnapped, murdered, their bodies found in rivers weeks later, that kind of thing.
If found at all.
Yeah, if found at all. A lot of them probably somewhere in the middle of some place you don't know anything about.
Mass graves have been uncovered.
So much land up there. It literally is a fourth of the earth.
And they've already begun uncovering mass graves.
Oh yeah, there's been plenty of those. And of course, Russia tries to blame them all on Kiev. Yeah.
And the West.
The rebels would occupy a place for a while with those Chechens and the special forces, and then the Ukrainians would push them back. Okay. And then if the Chechens ever took that land back, suddenly they'd be digging up their own mass graves and being like, oh, look at what the Ukrainians did. I kept track of it step by step. The rebels were in control of that land for the most part. And they were doing, I saw all kinds of fucked up shit there. Okay? I wish I could remember the name of those specific small towns. So many, I don't speak Ukrainian. I'm just like learning all these town names and all these, man, it's kind of overwhelming at first when you get into this stuff. But it's vital that you try to learn as much as you can, at least about the strategy of the situation. Because the strategy of that situation applies to the entire world right now. It could happen anywhere at any time. Plain and simple. So right when they had the referendum in Crimea, suddenly there's government buildings being seized. Little green men are showing up and attacking local Donetsk police who are Berkut affiliated, who are already pro-Russian, and they're sitting there saying on video, we're pro-Russian, we're on your side, we're pro-Russian. And you can tell these Spetsnaz have orders to take that fucking building. They push the guys out of the way, firing their AKs over their heads, and they go and they fucking shoot their way into the building. Because at that point, people on the inside start trying to defend it. And that's how the city of Donetsk fell. At the fucking sheriff's office. And conveniently right after the Little Green Men revolution in Crimea, little fake fucking Russian invasion of Crimea, then suddenly all the seizing of military buildings and checkpoints, strategically positioned checkpoints in Donetsk. And the war's been kind of raging ever since. Thanks to, at that point, has it been like 50 Russian aid convoys? You're talking like 100 trucks at a time. Big white lorries, 18-wheelers. Going from Moscow in some cases, straight into Ukraine, carrying God knows what. They won't let anybody fucking inspect it. They'll do like these little show inspections where they show you like the inside of a few vehicles, but it's like RT reporters showing you. Give me a break. So, yeah, since then there's been over 6,000 dead and 1 million people displaced or missing. And of course, MH17 getting shot down by a Russian surface-to-air missile that was videotaped entering from Russia, videotaped leaving Russia with one missile
Leaving
missing,
Ukraine.
leaving Ukraine to Russia with one missile missing missile. The mini mustache on it. So, yeah, and then the day after MH17, I mean, just imagine the coincidence. What's the likelihood? The day after MH17 falls, suddenly we have the varsity team getting reinforcements from somewhere, because the next day there was fighting. That night, Mosul fell. It was all over the news that next day. And we've been talking about nothing but ISIL, ISIS, Sam I Am, whatever the fuck, ever since. Okay? Icicle. Let's just call it Icicle. How about that? The Islamic State of Licorice Killers. What?
Insurance salesman.
Okay, so in addition to the Russian biker shootout, check out that video. The whole Kazakhs biker gang trying to seek an alliance with the Hell's Angels, okay, which basically means trying to start a fucking little rebellion of their own. I have friends who've contacted me on the internet, or associates, acquaintances, a couple of friends, who've told me that in at least New York, Montana, and Michigan, there are large communities of Russian-speaking people who pretty much stick to themselves and seem just kind of oddly isolationist. That's on the border. And let's just say if there were communist infiltrators on the southern border, you wouldn't know it because they'd just be speaking Spanish. And I love Hispanic people, okay? So it's kind of fucked up to even try to look for them. But there's a whole lot more white people that are infiltrators. Okay? Plain and simple. Don't go looking for nobody based on nothing. But when there are a whole community of people who speak fucking Russian, oh, hello, it's kind of obvious. Judge them by their works, or if they're Russians. I mean, if they're just fucking plain out Russians, and they're not friendly, and like they're kind of creepy. Sorry, that's red flag. That's red flag. People need to be watched, monitored, something. Okay. I'm a firm believer that mosques or any Christian church that's been affiliated with a militia or a terrorist organization should be monitored by the federal government. I know people are theorizing that I'm doing something with my right hand over here when there's nothing Nothing over here but a bathroom. When I make a point, I like to point out the point with some points of pointiness. Yeah. Anyway. So, I'm going to take a turn.
Where are we?
So, you know, ISIL says the people say ISIL is made by the CIA, and the CIA is behind ISIL. You know, according to them, the CIA is behind fucking everything. So, bullshit. Russia. They've been infiltrating us for a while.
Oh, so for those of you who haven't turned on your TV in the last 2 days, well, day and a half, South Carolina massacre, where a little 21-year-old little white boy walked into a predominantly black church during Bible study, sat down for about an hour, and then opened fire, killing 9 people, including the pastor, who also happened to be a U.S. state senator. Some people that were giving interviews said looking at him was like staring in the face of pure evil. This kid apparently was very troubled, and people who went to school with him and knew him have spoken out, saying he believed in segregation. White people should be separate from black people. What was it that they said that in that news report we saw that he had literally said, one of the witnesses said that he had to do it?
Yeah, there was something like that he was compelling. Like, people were warning teachers and whatnot that this guy was a ticking time bomb. Okay, and that he had told one of the kids that he felt like he had to kill a bunch of people. Like, he was being compelled.
He had to kill black people.
He had to kill black people. What you got to understand is there is a demonic element to propaganda. Propaganda kills your mind so that the demons can take over. These program responses are buttons to be pressed. And if you don't know how the buttons are pressed, Frank Peretti, This Present Darkness is a good book to read. That's just Astral Combat 101, if you will. And I do mean 101. It's very basic, very just good old-fashioned Christian oriented. Frank Peretti. Great author. Oh. You want to talk about the similarity between the rebel flag and the Donetsk?
Yeah. So Donetsk has a new flag now that Russian rebels have taken over.
What's it called?
The People's Republic of Donetsk, or something to that effect. Now, their new.
Always got to sound like you're selling it.
Yeah, their new flag is essentially the Confederate flag without the stars.
Turns out that's an old flag too. It's a Russian origin flag, actually a Haitian mercenary.
This kid had a rebel flag license plate on the front of his car that he was very proud of, too. The one who shot up all the people in South Carolina.
Didn't the rebels have Haitian mercenaries helping with their training?
Yeah.
In Civil War. So we basically had Russian training Civil War military in the rebel South. You know, like
the Revolutionary War too.
I used to literally. Right? I used to, like,
wear a rebel flag bandana on my head when I was like a little obnoxious teenager, like 20 years ago. Um, I, I grew up in the South for the most part, and it's like I'm offending myself a little bit when I say this shit, but it's pretty obvious. The Imperial Russian philosophy is one of world conquest and has been for a very, very long time. If you know that and you go look at the history, go as far back as you want, it all connects. I'm gonna go ahead and skip down. So to the Catholic versus Byzantine. So one of the things that I'm sure many of you have also experienced when you're learning about history is, what's really the difference between the Roman Empire and the Greek Empire, the Roman gods and the Greek gods? Why is all this similarity sewn into this history but never really explained? Well, let me ask a roundabout question. When the Byzantine Empire supposedly got conquered, when did they conquer all of Russia? You know, when the Muslims conquered all of Russia, you remember when that happened? No, never happened. Wait, so we're told by history that the Byzantine Empire fell. The Eastern Church fell. No more. It is an ex-empire. It is deceased, dead.
What church do you think I grew up in?
It's not pining, it's passed on. But Russia never got conquered. You know, the only time Moscow ever really fell, supposedly it was made of wood. And if you look at the limited drawings of what was supposedly Moscow at the time, it just looks like a camp. I don't think what was left of Western civilization at that time could really comprehend the vastness of what a mere camp could be made to look like by this empire. Okay. What is the greatest trick the devil ever did?
Convincing people he didn't exist.
So let me ask y'all something. Does the Byzantine Empire exist? Or did it fall? Bum, bum,
Bum.
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 I thought you were going full committal on that. I was waiting for something weird to happen.
Pterodactyl. It was a great face too, by the way.
Anyway. Alright, so here's an idea. this whole South Carolina thing has, of course, prompted a new conversation in gun control.
Of course.
Gun control does not mean Obama's gonna come take your guns.
Everybody
You do not need to worry about anyone prying anything from your cold, dead, arthritic, masturbating hand. Okay?
Phalanges.
What? Flagellas?
I was using a grown-up.
Flanagans.
Shenanigans?
Shenanamana today.
Manamana.
Do-do-do-do-do.
Manamana.
Do-do-do. Stop it. Stop it. Okay, so moving on.
Not my fault I got hit in the head with a rock on Monday.
Ba-da, ba-da-da-da. Well, my singing voice is just not there. Anyways,
Moving on.
sorry. No serenading this evening. Well, hopefully no more. I'm just going to light another cigarette. So, new concept, new strategy, new talking point, if you will. Gun control. What even racist white people should realize is that you should be pro-gun control. Okay? Nobody's talking about letting good, hardworking Americans not able to be unable to get guns. Okay? What we're talking about at the most is background checks and required training. Nobody's even talking about required training. I think there should be required training.
Agreed.
And that training should include safe storage of weapons, especially when children are involved. A finger lock safe is a wonderful thing. No, I didn't use the okay. Yeah. Anyways, so here's the deal. Attention, anybody who's anti-gun control. And this is for people who are on the fence or just my viewers in general who want to help out, bring sanity to general situations. I'm going to be addressing racists directly when I ask these questions. Do you want immigrants to be able to get guns? Do you want Muslims, Islamic extremists, Muslims in general, just a Muslim immigrant across the border pretending to be a Mexican, can he go buy a gun? Do you want him to be able to buy a gun? Okay. Those border communities with these Russian immigrants, they get some friends over from the Canadian border. Do you want them to be able to buy guns? Think. That's what you need to ask people to do, is to think. Please consider. This is I don't know, just as basic as it can be.
I don't see what the big deal with background checks for guns are. Do you want somebody with a mental illness to get a hold of a gun? Do we remember what happened at Virginia Tech a few years ago? Do we remember Columbine? Do we remember the Aurora, Colorado shooting in the movie theater? Do we remember George Zimmerman, who has been arrested since Trayvon Martin's murder countless times, waving his gun around, pointing his gun at people, firing his gun? Really?
He just needs to be a Chippendale.
Really?
Sorry.
What?
Nothing. I mean, here's the deal, people. Right now, there is a new record number, 70 million refugees worldwide, displaced people, just people without home, wandering around. All right. Think about what 12% of 70 million could fucking do if there were operatives among them. Okay. Well, the deployment strategy that we're seeing in Ukraine is the same one that dates back pre-Byzantine. Okay. The Mongolian horde was a sham. Okay, that whole Mongolians killed Russians and Moscow and all that. That was the subjugation of the Ukrainian people, basically, by media. All right, the Kingdom of the North, it was moving to the West. All right, this is not Russia. All of this is Russia. Okay. Think the people in charge want to live in population centers? No. Well, so what you see in Ukraine right now is they have literally people from the Pacific coast of Russia all the way over there. This strategy, I have one of my video icons, I forget one, it's a relevant video, has, I'm getting tired, all the different places where the different troops that are in Ukraine came from as of the time that it was compiled by an intelligence service. Well, Khazaria, Media, the Greek Empire, the Byzantine Empire, whatever you want to call it, it's been using race mixing, crossbreeding, and prisoner subjugation, enslavement, community building as a means of gaining manpower for infiltration. And there's nothing really sinister about the fact that they're using race mixing. It's not like they're trying to create some kind of super soldier. It's just simple practicality. All right? It's, if you want to infiltrate a nation, you need to have personnel that look and talk and act like those people. That's simple. So right now you have immigration crises in Haiti, Africa, Serbia, Hungary, Sweden, the United Kingdom, Italy, Spain, and you even have an interesting scenario going along the borders of China. Did you know that Russia and China have had border skirmishes? During the Cold War, Russia and China were having border skirmishes, shelling each other with artillery, tanks, and everything. Well, along those very same borders, there are waves of Dagestani migrants, including Islamic extremist terrorists, going around. There's like this knife slashing thing going on over there on the northwestern border of China. Chicken. Let's see. Due to the immigration problem in the Dominican Republic, the government has deployed 2,000 troops to deal with immigrants, and they haven't really announced any specifics.
Haitian immigrants.
Yeah, Haitian.
And they have said that the president of the Dominican Republic has signed an order to the effect of that unless you have a parent that is Dominican, and this goes all the way back, they're making this extend all the way back to the 1920s. Unless you have a parent, at least one parent that is Dominican, you're getting deported. So if you were born in the Dominican Republic, if your Haitian family has been there for 10 generations, it doesn't matter, you're getting deported. And they did this supposed path to citizenship, but the system itself was so kinked and full of delays that by the time the deadline hit, there was still half the Haitian population of the Dominican Republic was still standing in line.
I'd like to see if we can find something on the State Department briefing about this so we can get more verified information. Because when you hear stuff that sounds crazy, go after the sources. Just the fact that this kind of news is out is going to be causing probably a lot of death overnight tonight. Riots, that kind of thing. Well, thank you for joining us this evening for the weekly news update. Slash general need to know information about reality. If you'd like to know more, I have a playlist called Need to Know Information About Reality, and I have many relevant videos titled according to what they should trigger in your brain, basically. Some of them a little more obscure than others, so try to be open-minded.
Yeah, and these trolling comments, y'all, like, seriously, if you're not going to sit through the video, just don't even bother.
When people comment and just clearly haven't even
taken a moment to understand anything, it's just like you got a little flag that says, "Look at me, I'm an ignorant bastard." And you're waving it. Nobody wants to see you wave your little flag. That's why you don't have a girlfriend.
That's why you don't have no girlfriend.
Just a little flag. Yeah, look about right. But there's a like button somewhere down here, and you can like click it.
There's also a subscribe button. Tell your friends.
Thank you. Y'all have a wonderful evening.
Night.